Welcome back to Wittenberg Academy's Latin course, Latin 1. Today we're ready for Lesson 12 in first year Latin, and that's on page 23. Accent. Thus far, the accent of words has been indicated in order that the correct pronunciation might be made easy. The rules governing accent must now be given, and marking the accent will be discontinued in the main. Accent in Latin as in English is a stress and is determined by definite rules. So in English, we have words like conflict and conflict. Conflict is the noun, conflict is the verb. They're spelled the same, but they're pronounced differently solely based on their accent. So it is also in Latin. Words of two syllables are accented on the first syllable. Silva, nauta. Not silva or nauta, but silva, nauta. Words of more than two syllables are accented on the penult, the next to last syllable, if the penult is long. Otherwise, they're accented on the antepenult, the third last syllable, or rather the second last, we'd say, I suppose. So regina, pecunia, because the second last syllable in each case is long, regina, pecunia, but agricola, puella, because in those cases the second last syllable is short. So agricola, puella. The length of the syllable must be noticed as that determines accent and not the vowel alone. When an enclitic, a word like ne or que or we, is added to a word, the above rules regularly apply. So you'll recall when we want to make something a question, we add ne to the end of a word. And que on the end of a word means and we on the end of a word means or. So when we add that, here in this example, the word would normally be populus. Populus. The second last syllable is short, so the accent is on the third last syllable, populus. But now with que on the end, it becomes populusque. Populusque. Because that U becomes long because it comes before two consonants in a row, which is a rule we haven't read yet, but we're going to read in a second. And the next one, reginaque. Reginaque. All right. By the quantity of a vowel, we mean the time required to pronounce it. Quantity may be long, marked with a macron, there that dash, or short, marked with that short mark as pecunia. Pecunia. Only the long vowels are regularly marked in this book, and generally speaking, they're the only ones marked. And even more generally speaking, the long vowels are not marked at all when Latin writers wrote. Sometimes they're marked in textbooks like this, so we get the hang of it. Rules for the quantity of vowels. It is necessary to fix in the mind the quantity of the vowels in a word when it's first learned, but the following rules are of service. A vowel between ns, nf, nct, nx is long, as in Konstanz. And in general, a vowel that comes before two consonants in a row is almost always long. A diphthong is long, as in Graecia. A vowel formed by contraction is long, as in nihil for nihil. So the word is nihil, but sometimes it can be pronounced nil, just like you took out that H. A vowel before another vowel, or H, is short, as in nihil or Lucius. So it's not Lucius, it's Lucius, because that I is going to be short because it comes in front of another vowel. A vowel before NT, ND, final M, final T, also before final L and final R, except in words of one syllable, is short, as in laudant. Well, what that comes down to is that last syllable in those verb endings is usually short, laudant. But in general, vowels that come before two consonants are going to be long. That's a more useful rule when you're looking at accent. Because remember, when you're trying to determine accent, you're looking at the length of the second last syllable. And for the second last syllable, you can pretty much follow the rule. It's long if it comes before two consonants in a row. So if you look back to on page 23, right in the middle of the page, section 2, paragraph B, the last word, puela. That E is long because it comes before double L. So it's not puela, it's puela. Now this is often a word that's really kind of pronounced puela, as if it only had two syllables, but still. All right. And C, all other syllables are short. Oh, excuse me. Rules for quantity of syllables, middle of page 24. In Latin, a word has as many syllables as there are vowels and diphthongs. The quantity of the syllable is determined as follows. A syllable containing a long vowel or a diphthong is long by nature, as in pecunia, pecunia. That oo in pecunia is long just because it's long. Pecunia. Has to be learned when you learn the word. A syllable containing a short vowel followed by two consonants or by a double consonant is long by position. Laudandus, laudandus. Note, a mute, that is a voiceless letter, you can see those there, followed by a liquid, those letters there, does not count as two consonants. Impetro, not impetro. So those trills with R's and L's basically, we'll keep it short. And all other syllables are short. In general, this lesson kind of comes off more difficult than it really is. What you're going to look for when it comes to accent is the length of the second last syllable. And if that's short, then the accent's going to go back one more syllable. Normally, Latin wants the accent to be on the second last syllable. But if that letter in that syllable is short, the accent will go back to the third last syllable. And so this is not a lesson to get worked up about. You don't. I wouldn't spend too much time trying to memorize these rules or write them down. You can look over them, try to find them useful. But in general, take today to be a day to get ahead on vocabulary and any exercises that you need to get done and some general practice. The accent will come just with more and more practice. All right, until next time when we'll tackle Lesson 13.